Hello, it's me, MJ from TriviaMystery.com, coming to you live from Wisconsin once again. How's everyone doing? Who's on the stream tonight? Let's get some highs in the chat. How's everyone? How was everyone's weekend? We are running on not a lot of sleep here at Trivia Mystery HQ. Believe me. So I think for that reason, probably best not to be on the beer this evening. Well, this afternoon for us, evening for you guys, well, most of you. I just got back from a bike ride. How wholesome. How lovely. All right. Do the dogs... Second shot. We did get our second shots on Thursday. We felt not great on Friday. Just kind of groggy. Like, was tired all day, and body-wise, it felt like I'd done a full day, like a full body workout the day before. Just kind of dull ache all over. But that was pretty much just one day, and then the next day felt fine. I had to work at the weekend. That sucks. Boo. So yeah, those of you waiting on your second or even your first shots, that was how Pfizer second shot went for. But both me and Jessica felt pretty much the same. Just because parents were like fine. They didn't even seem to notice the second shot. But that kind of tallies with what I've heard, where the younger you are, the more likely you are to find that second shot to be a bit side effecty. Probably just because your immune system's going a bit harder. As an asthmatic, I'm used to my immune system sometimes, trying a bit harder than it should be. All right, we've got plenty of people in. Good to see all of you. Let's take a look at the rounds we have coming up for you today in this week's quiz, our May 10th edition of the Monday night trivia stream. So round one, as always, is a general knowledge. Round two, food fact finder. Round three, Istanbul, not Constantinople. Round four, returning classic Inut Tat Iman. Round five, jumping the shark. Round six is WrestleMania. Round seven, In the Spirit of Things. And round eight, general knowledge. All right. So I think some of those round names are maybe a little less cryptic than we sometimes go. You've probably got a pretty good idea of what you have in store for you coming up. As you can see in the chat, Jessica has said, yes, it is a finals week here in the US. I don't have any American students, but Jessica does. So she's got a lot of extra work this week. All right. Well, it's 4 or 5 minutes past the hour. That's usually when we get things rolling. In case we do have any newbies on tonight, always each round will be 5 questions, and at the end of each 5-question round, there'll be a little green button that says submit. Sometimes you have to hit like next after question 5 to get to the page where you hit submit. Sometimes you'll have to enter a captcha. Sometimes it will just be directly after you've finished question 5. So hit question 5 once you finish the round, and up until you hit that submit button, you will be able to go back and change your answers. So your answers aren't locked in until you hit submit, but just don't forget to hit submit afterwards. Sometimes we end up like waiting for people to answer, and they've already got their answers in, but they just haven't hit submit. So just a little reminder there. Noob rhymes with boob. I think you mean noob rhymes with boob. All right. And yeah, we've got, there's a link there for joining. All right. So let's get started. Why not? Round one. Oh, disregard that. Maybe I think that was for people who have lost their place. So, round one, general knowledge. Question one. Okay, so what movie recently unseated Citizen Kane as the best reviewed movie of all time on Rotten Tomatoes? Rotten Tomatoes? I don't even know what I would say anymore. So was that The Godfather Part 2, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, or Paddington 2? So which of those movies recently became the best reviewed movie of all time on Rotten Tomatoes? In case you don't know, Citizen Kane was the long time. There's a bunch of 100% fresh movies on Rotten Tomatoes, and the way that you get to be the freshest of the 100% fresh movies is having the most reviews. So Citizen Kane held that title for a long time until someone dug up a single old bad review from when it came out. I mean, presumably there were more. It wasn't universally beloved upon release. But yeah, someone found one and archived it, so it went down to 99% fresh, and that meant its top of the table position was taken by the 100% fresh movie that had the next most reviews. All right, question two. A Japanese town has recently been criticized for spending COVID relief funds on what? Is that a working Gundam? Robot mech suit, a giant squid statue, a petting zoo, or a fleet of segways? So this story's been going around a bit the last couple of days. Question three. So according to a recently published paper, what is the most Instagrammable species of bird? Is it the emperor penguin, the ruby-throated hummingbird, the tawny frogmouth, or the ostrich? So this was from I think, from some German PhD students. They normalized pictures of birds by the amount of views they got. So photos that got more views didn't get disproportionately favored. It was like proportional how many likes to how many views they got. What is the most Instagrammable species of bird? A Gundam is like a robot mech suit, from anime, like an Evangelion from Neon Genesis Evangelion, or a Gundam, or the Power Zord thing from Power Rangers. Big old mech suit, popular in Chinese kind of like media for young boys and teen boys. Yeah, so what species of bird is the most Instagrammable in terms of like likes per view it gets? Next one, to create his sting pain index, entomologist Justin Schmidt claims to have been stung by most stinging hymenopterans. So that's the family that includes wasps, bees, ants, and sawflies. What species did he rank as having the most painful sting? And the question was too long to fit all of the options on that. Obviously, you can see them, but I'm going to just read them out anyway. That was the urban digger bee, the Maricopa harvester ant, the tarantula hawk, or the bullet ant. And question 5 from this round. The poll to name the research vessel RRS Sir David Attenborough was famously won by Boaty McBoatface. But what position did David Attenborough finish in the vote count? Did it come second, third, fourth, or fifth? So the people in charge of naming the vessel didn't go with Boaty McBoatface. So David Attenborough did get votes, but where did he finish in the voting, in the ranking, when they selected? Okay, we're not taking Boaty McBoatface. We'll take one of the other popular ones. All right, so those are your first 5 questions. Get your answers in. Hymenopterans. So he hasn't. When I first heard about the Schmidt sting pain index, I think I saw it described as like all insects. It's not all insects. I think most, or a fairly big proportion of stinging insects are hymenopterans. His whole thesis is about whether. Oh, the true police already on the phone. I can't believe it. We just got off the phone with them. Bloody hell. Whether the evolution of social behavior in hymenopterans is like correlates with the toxicity and painfulness of their stings. Like his hypothesis is that living like solitary hymenopterans benefit more from a very painful sting, so they can run away. But hive insects would benefit, like they wouldn't get as much benefit from pain. They would benefit more from toxicity, because if you have like a shitload of things to eat in one place, large mammals will probably tolerate more pain to try and eat it than they would to try and eat a single bug. That was his theory. Plus, there's honey and bloody larvae and stuff associated with hive insects. So the caloric reward for toughing out the pain is a lot higher for hive insects. So they might put more evolution points into toxicity than pain generation. That's the hypothesis anyway. I have no idea if he proved his hypothesis. So how is everyone doing there? Maybe that was a hint. Maybe that was a hint to his answer. If you know whether those particular hymenopterans are eusocial or solitary. Obviously, eusocial behavior very common in the family, order. I don't know, Hymenoptera. Ants, wasps, bees, all things we think of as living in large eusocial groups. I think we're just waiting on one team. I can hear that the trivia police were leaving a message. I could hear the answer machine going. They must really want to get a hold of us. So get those answers in, guys. Also, I might try and bring up some of his reviews. They are hilarious of the sting pains. For when we do the answers. Okay, so we have the answers in. Let's go through them. So Paddington 2 is the new best reviewed movie of all time, according to Rotten Tomatoes. It was a giant squid statue. They defended themselves from these claims by saying they didn't spend the COVID relief funds, but because they got the COVID relief funds, they could spend the money that they were going to spend on COVID on a giant squid statue, which, like, that's just how COVID relief funds work. Like, that's the money you were given. And Tawny Frogmouth. They live in like Australia and Asia. They're kind of little froggy looking guys. You'll have seen them. They're the ones that are like famous for being very good at looking like the log that they are sitting on, but they got funny little owly froggy faces. Quite memeable might be the reason they are so liked. And then with the Schmidt pain index, it's the bullet ant his Schmidt pain index is not very not a lot of fine detail on it. It just goes from 1 to 4. In his original rankings, bullet ant was the only insect that he gave a ranking of 4. The tarantula hawk and I think the warrior wasp also have 4s now. But he does say the tarantula hawk, very painful, but the pain only lasts like 5 minutes. So bullet ants are worse. But I just want to give a couple of examples of his prose here. He talks about these insect stings like he's giving tasting notes for a wine. So of the sweat bee, he said, where is it? Yes, light, ephemeral, almost fruity. A tiny spark has singed a single hair on your arm. Of the urban digger bee, he said, almost pleasant. A lover just bit your earlobe a little too hard. And of the yellow jacket, he said, hot and smoky, almost irreverent. Imagine W.C. Fields extinguishing a cigar on your tongue. Which, very good. And finally, the 5th question here. David Attenborough came 5th in that poll. So it was Boaty McBoatface. I think 2nd place was like some little kid that died, some like Make-A-Wish kid. Then there was this, Henry Worsley or some explorer or other. And I think 4th place was It's Bloody Cold Here because it's an Antarctic research vessel. And 5th place was David Attenborough, which they chose. All right. A statue of a giant squid or a really big statue of a regular sized squid? Well, how would you know the difference, eh? I think it is a big statue of a regular sized squid. But once you make a really big statue of a regular sized squid, who's to say? But great work there. Fast work from producer Jessica tracking that down. And look, there's some Donny Progmouths, aren't they cute? No wonder they are so Instagrammable. Look at the grumpy little one on the right. Our right, his left. He's so grumpy. All right. So let's take a look at the scoreboard after that first round. Drum roll, please. And we have so it's just 5 teams in today. 2 teams are tied in first place. The Van Goghs, last week's winners, and Chicken and Booze tied 3 points each. F&B for Presidents and Vax Tax, they are tied on 2 points each. Flying Solo is flying with a solo point, 1 point for Flying Solo. Great job, everyone. As always, mathematically, it's always extremely likely that it's going to be very close at the start. And so this week's no different. Moving on to round 2, we'll see if we shake things up a little. But off to a good start for the Van Goghs in the title defense. So this is round 2, Food Fact Finder. So this is a round format we've done a few times before, but it's worth running it through the explanation again because it's a bit of a tricky one. I'm going to give you 4 things for each prompt, and any number of them could be correct. There could be anywhere from 0 to 4 correct answers for each question. And you will get 1 point for each correct one that you select. But for each incorrect one you select, you will lose 1 point. So I've balanced the round so that if you just choose everything, they will balance each other out. You'll get 0. So that means that there are 10 points up for grabs here because obviously 5 questions and 4 possible answers for each one, and half of them will get you a point, half of them will lose you a point. So there's 10 points up for grabs in this round. We will have to double check the scoring here because I think this is the first time we've tried to do a round like this post introduction of Arspot. So we'll have to see how he gets on with this scoring type. But yeah, choose as many that you are certain of as possible. Try to avoid choosing ones that are not correct answers. So the questions do not balance. So any one question could have 3 or 4 correct answers, or as few as 1. There are none of them that have 0. But overall, over the course of the 5 questions, they balance. So of the 20 answers, 10 of them are correct and 10 of them are incorrect. But don't worry, you can't get less than a 0 on this round. We're not going to start taking away, we're not going to put you into negative point totals for the quiz overall. That we wouldn't be that mean. So first up, mirepoix components. So the options presented to you there are, it's not on the thing, so I'll read them to you. You can see them. Celery, garlic, onion, and carrot. So choose the components of a mirepoix. Which of those ingredients would you find in a mirepoix? So for each thing you select that is indeed in a mirepoix, you get 1 point. For anything you select that is not in a mirepoix, you get -1 point. All right, number 2. Ancestral/natural citrus. So this means not a hybrid, not the result of hybridization between 2 naturally occurring citrus. An ancestral/natural citrus. So your options are lemon, bitter orange, mandarin, and grapefruit. So there are a bunch of natural citrus. And a bunch of hybrids. Most of the hybrids are just the results of the hybridizations of like 3 natural citrus. But there are other natural citruses that exist that just aren't used in hybrids. So number 3, Chicago-style hot dog toppings. So in a fully loaded Chicago-style hot dog, your options there. Mustard, ketchup, dill pickle, and tomato slices. So which of those things would you find on a Chicago-style hot dog? All right, then we've got number 4, the classic French mother sauces. We've got hollandaise, demi-glace, espagnole, or mornay. So of those sauces, which of them are counted among the mother sauces in like French cuisine? And the last category there is candy cooking stages. So when cooking sugar and water to make candy, especially without the use of a candy thermometer, which of these are the names of those stages? So you've got taffy stage, hardball stage, firm crack stage, or shatter stage. So check all that are real names of candy cooking stages. So if you're making any kind of sugary treat at home, fudge or marshmallows or toffee, all different things will require you to cook your sugar and water to different temperature or a different candy stage. Snakes on this mother sauce's plane. All right, so select all that are real answers. Avoid those. So is it so there could be more. There could be more or less than two. So over the course of all 5 questions, it balances out. But on some of them, there could be 3, and some of them there could be 1. I'm gonna help you out and say there aren't any 4s. All of them go between 1 and 3 correct answers. So up to you to determine there. But yeah, over the course. So if you really want to go through and count it up, over those 5 questions, you will have selected 10 answers. You can go more than 10, but that means you definitely will have selected at least 1 wrong answer. But yeah, some of them might have 1, some might have 3, some might have 2, but it will balance out over the course of the round. Just to clarify there. So answers are coming in. So this was we've done rounds like this before, and it's always tricky to, I guess, just make the concept of the round clear. But I do enjoy doing food questions. It's always interesting to see, like geographically, how different food questions will go. So again, I feel like Chicago hot dogs might lend themselves to our Midwest contingents. What else did we have? Yeah, like we've got a couple from French cooking, so I don't know if that leans too heavily European. Like mirepoix and mother sauces are both kind of French. Obviously, the mirepoix one can be tricky because a lot of different cuisines have something that serves the same purpose as a mirepoix, but maybe it varies on its components. When in doubt, select what sounds delicious. We already covered this one, but right. Well, there you go. I think that makes it fair. Yeah, mirepoix is pretty widespread. I think the legacy of Julia Childs. But yeah, you do get similar stuff. So obviously Cajun and like Creole cooking has the Holy Trinity. Italian and German cuisine both have similar combinations of aromatics that serve the same function as a mirepoix, but have different components. So yeah, that's something that can trip people up a little. The citrus one is also a tricky one. Like a lot of different citruses are made by hybridizing. I think just three ancestral citri. Even though there are more ancestral citri. No, also the whole citri makes me think citra hops. We do have a pretty strong IPA that I was gonna drink on stream tonight, but we got to go pick up some brewing equipment after this stream. We found some on Craigslist, so we don't want to be getting drunk before we go driving. So let's see, round 2 answers. Okay, so the components of a mirepoix: celery, onion, and carrots. There's no garlic in a mirepoix. I mean, you obviously, if you're cooking something with a mirepoix, feel free to add garlic, but it's not part of the mirepoix. All right, next one. The mandarin was the only ancestral or natural non-hybridized citrus of the 4 listed. All the others and many more made from hybridizing. I think mandarin pomelo, and citron, I think, are the big three. So there are other ones like a kumquat is a natural citrus, but I think citron, mandarin, and pomelo, those are hybrided together in different combinations to make like everything: oranges, grapefruits, lemons, limes. All right, next up, Chicago style hot dog toppings. So mustard, dill pickle, tomato slices, also raw white or yellow onion, neon green pickle. Uh, so there's a ton of stuff you can put on a Chicago style hot dog, but do not put ketchup on. That's how to get on the wrong side of a Chicagoan. Number 4. Hollandaise and Espanol were the mother sauces listed. What were the other sauces I said? So a demi-glace is made from an Espanol. That's when it's a mixture of Espanol and like veal stock that is reduced and clarified. And a Mornay is, I think, a Bernaise. No, a Mornay is there's another mother sauce. I don't know. It's a different mother sauce with cheese in it. A bechamel with cheese in it is a Mornay. I knew it began with a B. All right, and last one, number 5. Hardball was the only real one there. So I think I said firm crack, which was a bit of a mean trick because there are soft crack and hard crack, and there's soft ball, firm ball, and hard ball, but there's no firm crack. The missing crack. And thread and caramel on either end. Debatable whether they count as stages. The thread stage is when it's syrup, and the caramel stage is when you've driven all the water out. That's kind of a separate thing. But I mean, caramel's a candy stage. All right, so let's take a look at the scores after that one. I never know how these ones are going to turn out because you could end up with 0, you could end up with 10. Just because of the way the scoring works on these. Let's see how people did, though. And some people did find it tricky, but Chicken and Booze did manage to get more than 5. So well done, Chicken and Booze. 6 points there. Puts them in the lead by 1 point over the Van Goghs with 8, F&B for Presidents with 7, Vax Tax with 6. So a nice little staircase there, and Flying Solo, rough round, just 1 point still for Flying Solo. All right, so let's have a look at round 3. Istanbul, not Constantinople, like the song, and I think you can pretty much guess the kind of thing this round's going to be about. Places that have had name changes over the years. It's going to be kind of a mixed input round, so there'll be some type in the answer, some multiple choice, but it's going to be about places which have changed their names. You watched a food howl that featured Chicago hot dogs. What's a food howl? All right, let's see the first question. A food show. Okay, that makes more sense. All right. So, which island nation was previously known as Ceylon? So this is a type in the answer question. So this is the name of a modern country. This is what this place is called now that you need to type in. All right, question 2. I didn't even know it was a typo. I thought there was a thing called a food howl that I just didn't know what it was. A food show is technically a food howl. Depends on the food shows. Like there are some that are food howls. There are some that are just food looks. All right. So, what did Regina, Saskatchewan used to be called? Was that Vagina, Victoria, or Pile of Bones? All right, number 3. Wordy question here. Wordy. So there's a town called Buffalo in Texas. It renamed itself Blue Star to show support for the nearby Dallas Cowboys when they played the Buffalo Bills in back-to-back Super Bowls in 94 and 95. So the Dallas Cowboys, the logo is a blue star against a silver background. So what did the town rename itself when the Dallas Stars faced the Buffalo Sabres in the Stanley Cup? That was also, I think, in the late 90s. So there are a lot of Dallas Buffalo showdowns in the 90s at the top level of American sports. The town of Buffalo near Dallas wanted to show its allegiance. So for the Cowboys, it renamed itself Blue Star. But for the Stars, did it rename itself? What have I written here? What are your options? Red Star, Green Star, or Gold Star? All right, next up. Which Australian state was previously known as Van Diemen's Land? Was that Tasmania, New South Wales, or Victoria? Would we put two questions in one round where the answer was Victoria? Would we be that devious? Who's to say? And the last one, number 5, another type in the answer question. What name did the African country of Eswatini go by until 2018? So this was a country name change 3 years ago. The country is now called Eswatini. What was it known as before then? So we're looking for the old name in this case, kind of the reverse of question 1. Question 1, we wanted the modern name. Question 5, we want the previous name, the older name. All right. So, any of you live in a place that has changed its name? Surely, most of you are in Europe, so obviously everywhere's changed its name a million times. Eswatini, shaken, not stirred. Oh man, I got a really bad dirty martini in Korea once. First, I mean, dirty martini is a bad idea anyway. My logic was the little bit of brine in a dirty martini would see off a hangover. Plus, I like some cocktails that involve a little briny touch to them. But they just like look like just the end of a jar of olives, just like chunks of olive floating in it. It was disgusting. Yeah, so don't recommend that. Yeah, we have some Prussian representation. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And it was like not cold. Oh my gosh, I tried that in Romania as well. I didn't get a dirty martini. I just wanted a gin martini, and I was like at this bar, and they just didn't know what a gin martini was. I don't even like martinis that much, but sometimes I'm just in the mood for a martini, and it seems like every time I want a martini, it's just the worst experience. It's just never worth it. And it's just like they just tried. So when I was in Romania, first of all, they just tried to pour me like a measure of like vermouth, like martini brand vermouth, I think, like, and I was like, no, like, gin martini, like the cocktail, it's made out of gin and martini. Like it's the most famous cocktail, and they just like poured some room temperature gin into this room temperature vermouth that they'd already poured me, and I was like, "What the hell is happening?" So yeah, I haven't had a good experience over the years ordering gin martinis. But Arspot tells me all of you guys have your answers in, so let's have a look. St. Cloud, Minnesota. Okay, well, That's driving distance. We'll have to check that out. Sri Lanka used to be called Ceylon, like when it was a British colony. And Pile of Bones, Regina, Saskatchewan used to be called Pile of Bones. They love a wacky old place name in Canada. Green Star. So our stars were green. Green Star. Tasmania was Van Diemen's Land. And Eswatini used to be called Swaziland until a name change in 2018. So, scoreboard. So neither of the Victoria questions were Victoria. So it was just more mind games from the host. Let's see the scoreboard though. Right, and yes, back to a tie in first place, 12 points apiece for Chicken and Booze and the Van Goghs. Good round there for the Van Goghs, and also for F&B for Presidents, who stay just 1 point off the lead. Vax Tax on 11, and Flying Solo finally starting to get going there with a couple of points that round, taking them up to 3. 20,000 Leagues, there's a whole thing where they go diving for Ceylonese pearls. Neat. I don't think I ever read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I think there's a lot of like classic Jules Verne that I've just never read. So let's have a look at our last round before the intermission. It's our media rounds. It's Inat Tat Eman. You know, it's name that tune backwards. So we're going to play you like a little 10, 12-second clip of a well-known pop song reversed, and another round where there are 10 points up for grabs. The second round in just this half alone, where you could get up to 10 points, because we'll be giving you a point for the name of the song and also a point for the artist. And as kind of a little theme, just makes it easier to think of songs when you give yourself a little theme as a quiz writer. I'll tell you that. These are all kind of one-hit wonders. We've gone with a little one-hit wonder theme this week. Let's hear our first clip. All right, so there you go. That's your first backwards clip. Now use your brain to reverse it back to the right way around. And we want the name of the song, and we want the name of the artist. And of course, as I type in the answer, these are all double checked by a human. Obviously, you've got the intermission as well, so that gives Jessica a little bit of extra time to double check, as long as you get your answers in nice and quick. All right, and clip number 2. All right, these all sound, I mean, play anything backwards and it sounds like creepy and satanic. I mean, I don't know why those parents in the 80s were picking on Mel. All right, let's hear the next clip. All right, I think that one kind of does sound quite similar backwards and forwards, it turns out. All right, so I think that was number 3, right? So we'll move on to clip number 4. That one I would say is a scotch trickier. But you have the clips embedded in your forms, so you can re-listen to those in the intermission if you need a second pass at it. If maybe there's like a little tingle of recognition at the back of your brain, but you think you need to listen one more time. And our final backwards song clip, number 5. Let's hear it. Everything just sounds kind of melancholy. But yeah, again, I think gettable. But we'll see. We'll see. I think with these one-hit wonders, a lot of the trick will be remembering who sung it. You know, it's easy. I think it's easier to remember the title of a song than the artist when it comes to a one-hit wonder. But we'll see how you guys get on. I'm going to give you your intermission now. As always, when you got embedded media clips that you can rewatch, I think we'll give you a minute or so at the beginning with no sounds playing to distract you, and then we'll put the intermission video on kind of after a minute. So see you in a couple of minutes. All right, we're back. I think we're just waiting on one team to submit answers. So if that's you, we've had the intermission, so get those answers in, and we can run through them. I definitely think some of those more identifiable in reverse than others. I think in general, the more like manipulated the sound was anyway, the more identifiable it is backwards. I don't know why that would be the case. Where is Bean? She's not behind me today. She's discovered Jessica's big pile of soft toys that she uses as teaching props. Can you spot her in the pile? There's a decoy. There's a decoy Beans in there. Let's see. Can I? Where is it? There? Or is this Beans? Oh, there she is. She's hiding under the other one. I'm messing up my own light balance doing that, but okie doke. So, is that everyone in? Is everyone in? After that little diversion? Yes. So let's reveal the answers and then we'll take a look at the scores. So first up was I think the version I used was 99 Luftballon, 99 Luftballons, but 99 Red Balloons also got you the points by Nina. I don't know how you pronounce a Spanish word in German. Next up was Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba. Then we had Jump Around by House of Pain. Our fourth one was A Bitch by Meredith Brooks. It's not an Alanis Morissette song. And our last one, What is Love by Hadaway. So obviously there is a cultural element to what is and isn't a one-hit wonder. Maybe Nina was not a one-hit wonder in Germany. I don't know. Maybe she was, but rest of the world, she's a one-hit wonder, I'm afraid. So let's take a look at the scoreboard. And we still have a tie, perfect tens from both Chickanaboos and the Van Goghs. Oh boy, we are on a collision course for a tie break. And then we have F&B for Presidents on 17 points, Facts Hacks on 13. Strong round again from Flying Solo. So definitely getting the ball rolling after a slow start there. Let's see if Flying Solo can catch up to the rest of the middling teams. And, you know, there's still enough quiz left to even climb the table. That would definitely be the best comeback we've seen ever, but it's definitely doable. ET is the desk mascot. Yes, ET is not relegated to the box. Okie dokie. So let's get on to round 5. So Jumping the Shark, and as you might expect, this is about TV shows that have jumped the shark. So the phrase popularized, as you can see, by Happy Days, an episode where the Fonz is water skiing and jumps over a shark was considered too wacky. Oh, the show's jumped the shark. It's having to do it's gone too silly just to fill episodes. So it's generally considered the point at which the quality of a long-running TV series is considered to have like drastically declined. Sometimes it'll be a full season, sometimes a specific event, or more usually like an episode. But let's have a look. I'm going to give a brief description of the point at which various long-running shows were considered to have jumped the shark. And you're going to tell us what the shows were. So you're just going to give us the name of the show that's being described here. So first one, the infamously difficult to work with creator and showrunner of this sitcom was temporarily fired for this show's 4th season, leading to a shift in tone, referred to in show as the gas leak year afterwards. So although he returned, the original showrunner returned a year later, the show never returned to its early heights. So when he came back, the show kind of started being written more the way it used to be, and they referred to that one year as the year a gas leak happened and made everyone act out of character. And this is kind of considered to be the point where this show fell off. So what show was it? Link in the chat there for the player who accidentally closed the answer form. All right, TV show number 2, which jumped the shark. Many fans think this comedy/drama jumped to the shark when the middle-class suburb that provided the setting for the first few seasons of Cannabis Capers was destroyed by wildfires, and the main cast moved to the Mexican border. So what show is being described there? The entire town burned to the ground, and all the action was relocated to the Mexican border. All right, number 3. This mega popular Texas-based soap lost fans when it undid a year's worth of storylines by revealing they were all a dream, just so they could bring a popular character back from the dead. So I think the story behind this is an actor who had found fame on the show, wanted to go and do a different project, so they killed off his character. And then when that didn't work out for him and he wanted to come back, they were more than willing to undo 31 episodes of plot progression to accommodate him. Next up, this hospital sitcom remained popular throughout its lengthy run, with the exception of the final season, which inexplicably reduced the main cast to bit parts in order to focus on an entirely new slate of characters. So definitely considered the shark jump moment here was when they decided to just make a whole separate show with the same name as the final season, presumably intended to run for another long period of time. Didn't work out for them, was cancelled after one season with the new cast. And finally, not everyone agrees exactly when this decade-defining piece of event television jumped the shark, but even the most loyal fans jumped ship at the final season, which jettisoned the complex web of competing Machiavellian schemes in favor of shock twists fueled by out-of-character behavior. So all of these descriptions should be in your forms, and it's type in the answers. All we need from you is just the name of each TV show. So what's the biggest jump the shark moment for you? Or like what's a jump the shark consensus that you disagree with? Like I often hear the Armin Tamzarian episode of The Simpsons referred to as like the Simpsons jump the shark moment, but I actually really like that episode. In terms of like timeline wise, I don't think it's that far off. I think it's in season 9. I think pretty much season 9 is like the last good season of The Simpsons. But I do like that episode. I just think it's funny. But yeah, do you have any strong opinions on when long-running shows jump the shark? I think we're just waiting on one team now. Or obviously there are some that you probably just thought never were good. It's not required to ever be good in order to get a long-running show. I think near the a lot of times it's like the final episode. I know How I Met Your Mother. I ditched that show about halfway through. It got a bit repetitive, but let's have a but then a lot of people, it was the final episode, that reveal in the final episode was what was the last nail in the coffin for a lot of people, which I guess if you're going to jump the shark, you might as well do it at the last possible moment. But it leaves a sour taste. Mike Scully becoming the Simpsons showrunner, I think that is that's more accurate. I think his him taking over there is correlates more with the dropping quality than the and Tamzarian episode, which I still stand by as being a funny episode. And yes, I won't read some of these other questions in case they give people ideas, but everyone's answers are in anyway. Well, yes, let's go through the answers. So, Community, when Dan Harmon got fired, he's a notorious dickhead, was gross to the female writers who worked on Community, feuded with Chevy Chase, although that's a bit more understandable because he's also a notorious dickhead. Got fired, and then the show kind of took a nosedive. Next up, Weeds. The town Modesto in California burned down, and they moved to the Mexican border, and it just got too wacky. Dallas, massively popular, was the biggest show on television, and then people were not too happy. I mean, they pulled a few stunts, but this one I think was maybe a stunt too far for the viewers. Then Scrubs, baffling decision there. I mean, not that baffling. Clearly, they wanted, Scrubs was still a popular show, still got ratings, but the cast didn't want to keep making it forever, and so they thought they could just keep it going with an entirely different cast in the same hospital. Didn't work out for them. And Game of Thrones, the big one, the big shark jumper. This is the one where people can't reach consensus. People say season 4 ran out books, but they still made entertaining TV up until obviously gets way less consistent after season 4. But I still thought the episodes after the big battle with the dead are unnecessary. Yeah, and the big battle with the dead as well. Just I don't think it was well executed. For me, after season 6, I think I give season 6 a pass just because that last episode, I think they built up to it really well, and it was really exciting. And then they just didn't know what to do with themselves after that. They blew all the ideas in that episode, turned everything on its head, and then they was kind of scrambling for the last 2 seasons, and nothing really worked after that. I mean, everyone, even people who had stuck with it, I think there was some told you soing as well, from people who were after season 4, oh no, it sucks now. But yeah, no one liked that last season. Yeah, the whole brand thing was dumb. I mean, everything in that last season was dumb. Yes. Okay. I'm just catching up on everyone's comments here. You guys have a lot of thoughts on this topic. Let's have a look at the scoreboard, though. No, it was Bran, I'm afraid. They do the classic fantasy trope of the common names are just normal names that have been changed by one letter. So you've got Eddard and Bran and shit like that, where it's just a real person, a real name that exists in our world, but changed slightly. John without an H. Still a tie. Chicken and Booze and the Van Goghs in lockstep, and really pulling away from everyone else there. FMB for Presence on 19, Vaxtax 17, and Flying Solo 13. So kind of a little separate contest going on down there. But 2-horse race, it looks like, at the top. Obviously, mathematically, anything can still happen. We've got like 3 rounds to go. Like there's stuff in season 5 and season 6 I like, but 7 and 8 for me, where it just stops being very good. There is also a Dickard. Yeah, there's a Dickard in Game of Thrones, Jessica. So that's something for you there. Or Dickon. Dickard. That's a joke in the show, right? They keep calling him Dickard. All right. So, round 6, WrestleMania. So this one is pretty straightforward. I'm going to show you pictures of 5 famous WWF/WWE wrestlers from over the years. It's another typing the answer around. You just got to tell me who is it? Who is this picture of? So these are all pretty big names. So in theory, if you're only kind of casually acquainted with the league during the time that I was aware of it when I was a teenage boy, that's what I based this on. I write the quiz, so tough. You got to deal with it. But casual awareness of the WWF/E at that time should be enough. So yeah, who's that? Picture number 1. All right, number 2. I mean, people like all these performers, like the big names, stay in the WWE for decades. So they're probably still around now, most of them. And yeah, these are the breakout stars, people that have been involved in stuff outside of wrestling. So here's number 2. Number 3. Then number 4. What a look. What a look. And final one, number 5. This whole bit was such a cool gimmick in the 1998, 1999. So you can see these pictures in the forms. So you just need to type under each one who they are, and we'll try to make sure that you're not getting dinged on spelling because these are wrestling names. They might have spelled things weird for no particular reason, just to look cool. Yeah, so when I said breakout stars, I was not talking like The Rock. I didn't go with The Rock, I'm afraid. But the next rung down. Well, no, the next rung down would be like John Cena. So the rung down from that. My wrestling gimmick, I guess, the robe. I'm a robe guy, so some kind of loungy playboy kind of character. Brandy snifter. I would need to get a brandy snifter, of course. You know how like Stone Cold, he would catch like an open beer, but I'd just have to catch like an open bottle of cognac that was being thrown at me. So the Jay the Gal. Yeah, so obviously generation wise, this could be tricky. Obviously, some of these guys would have been coming up, like they would have just been getting started when I was at that age. So even though they've still stuck around long enough to still be showing up, if your wrestling knowledge predates this time, you might struggle. But we'll see how good you. If you're not sure, just have those guesses. If you've just got through cultural osmosis some names that you think like, I think there are some wrestlers named this, have a guess. You never know, it might apply. But yes, not that late 80s era like the classic wrestling era. This is the kind of mid to late 90s, early 2000s classic era. So yeah, Jessica will be double checking the spelling of these. So these are not the final scores. Your scores could go up to naming all of them, MJ Reed. Your scores could go up if it turns out you've written the right answer but spelled it just a little bit wrong. But the provisional scores following. Oh, well, first we'll see the answers. So first up we had Triple H. So he's still in it. He's still a big and popular guy. Next up, we've got Big Show. I think this guy's got a lot of crossover appeal. I think he's got like a sitcom on Netflix now for some reason. Like a family, like Everybody Loves Raymond style sitcom. Then we've got China, RIP. Died of an accidental drug overdose a few years ago. And we've got presidential candidate Jesse Ventura. And number 5, Kane. Kane of Kane and the Undertaker, that whole storyline where they were half brothers, and this is real kind of like it's the dark and edgy and cool storyline where like they grew up, and so they started off like Undertaker had this like real kind of gimmicky wrestling gimmick. You know how like the classic days where it's like he's a dentist and he's a milkman kind of thing, and like Undertaker's whole thing was like he literally was like a funeral director. And then they just made him like gothier and edgier, and had it that he like tried to burn down his own house when he was a kid and kill his family. It's exactly soap opera. It's just, yeah, professional wrestling is extremely soap opera. It's very good. It's a lot of fun. But let's see how people scored there. Do we have wrestling fans among, or just casual wrestling rememberers among the Trivia Mystery audience? Surely some of you are the right age that you went to school with people who were practicing these guys' moves in the playground. Or maybe that experience is not as universal as I remember. Okay, so people got some. People got some. Chicken and Booze a little bit of an advantage here. Getting three of them correct, along with F&B for Presidents. So that puts them in the lead with 30 points. Chicken and Booze. The Van Goghs in second place with 28. F&B for Presidents 22. Vax Tax 18. And Flying Solo 13. But yeah, those like job gimmick ones are hilarious. Oh yeah, we were in Germany and it was like WWE, but like dubbed in German. The Miz was on. All right, so we are going to go on to our next round, round 7. In the spirit of things. Now we know, okay, wrestling maybe a bit more niche, but we know that our audience loves a good booze round, so we wouldn't give you something as esoteric as late 90s, early 2000s wrestling superstars and not follow up with a crowd pleaser like booze. So, in the spirit of things, we have 5 spirits from around the world, and also 5 things they can be distilled from. So, the things they can be distilled from: apples or pears, chestnuts or sweet potatoes, figs, plums, and sugarcane. So, let's see what those spirits are. Oh dear, tech problem for the Van Goghs. Hopefully, you're able to continue. If you do suddenly stop answering, I mean, we're doing pretty well on time, so we can give you a second to try and get back online. All right. So, and if you're typing on your phone right now, you should be able to let us know what's going on anyway. Okay, so these are your. It's nothing to do with stairs, I'm afraid. So these are the base ingredients that various world spirits are made from. Let's see what the spirits are called. First one is shochu. Shochu. And none of these are in English, so I will butcher the pronunciation of 5 different languages today. Number 2, tweaker. Tweaker. Number 3, cachaça. Cachaça. Number 4 is Calvados. Calvados. That sounds like a Power Rangers baddie, doesn't it? Or like from a kind of SNES era kind of Japanese sci-fi game baddie. And number 5, Buka, or Bukha, probably. Buka. So, I guess part of this is trying to figure out where do those sound like they are from. Looking at the orthography of the languages that they are named in, trying to pinpoint like roughly what part of the world could they be from, and then trying to figure out what the appropriate ingredient would be for that part of the world. That's how I would do it anyway. Not telling you how to know your own boozes. Maybe you just are such a big booze fan that you have tried every single one of these. I've tried a couple, 3. I think I've had 3 of these. And I think I might have had 4 of these, but I'm always welcome. I'm always open to trying more. Anyone ever distilled? I like home brewing, but distilling seems more potentially explodey, so I'm hesitant. So I was talking to a friend who had one of those home stills. I was like, don't have that in your home. That will burn your house down. I'm just very nervous around compressed flammable gases being exposed to heat, especially. So I think we just got one team that need to get their answers in. Cachaça. I've only had it in a cocktail, I think. I've never tried it neat. But I have Tweaker is rough neat. Tweaker is probably the one I've had the most of. And Shochu is pretty tasty neat. So everyone's answers in. Let's see what the correct answers are, first of all. So shochu is from the southern Japanese island of Kyushu. It's kind of like the Japanese equivalent of soju, the Korean rice wine. A little bit different from sake, bit higher proof usually, just a bit different. And can be distilled from brown sugar, from rice, but also from more unusual ingredients like chestnuts or sweet potatoes. So that's kind of like that. That's considered usually like that's like the good shit. That's the fancy shochus. Tweaker is Romanian and must be made from plums. I think if it's made like they do make it a similar drink from other fruits, pears and berries and stuff. But I think They call it Palinka if it's made from anything other than plums. Palinka, obviously, the general term in Southeast Europe for like fruit brandies, moonshines, but Tuica is the kind of plum-specific name in Romania. Cachaça, very similar to rum. I'm not entirely sure what the distinction between cachaça and rum is, but yeah, it's made from sugarcane. It's a Brazilian drink. Yeah, component of a caipirinha, like a Brazilian cocktail. Calvados is a French brandy from Normandy made of apples or pears. So obviously Normandy, famous for its apple ciders, lovely dry apple ciders, very tasty from Normandy. And also they make Calvados apple and pear brandy. Yum, yum, yum. And finally, Buka from North Africa. I think Tunisia and Morocco is distilled from figs. We watched some How Fast Stuff Burns Down videos. Yeah, real fast. Yeah, modern houses obviously a lot more than older houses. This house has just got like enough shit in it that even being an older house, it definitely would. So cachaça made from sugar cane. Rum is made from molasses. So you make the sugar cane into molasses and then you make that into rum. Well, there you go. Learn something every day. So sugarcane used in the production of both, but that cachaça straight from the source, I guess, probably gives it a bit of a greener taste. And that means the booze knowledge has flipped the table there, or flipped the top two. Van Gogh's now with a 1-point lead going into the final round, and Chicken and Booze at 1 point back. Not living up to your name there, Chicken and Booze. F&B for Presidents also with a goose egg in that round, 22 points. Vaxtax closing the gap a little, 20 points, and Flying Solo with 14. But there's just 1 point in it at the top going into the final round. Oh yeah, Boston Molasses disaster. Good stuff. I think those guys were mostly using it to make baked beans. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I'm unfairly stereotyping the people of Boston. But who cares? They've won too many championships. Round 8, general knowledge. So this is our final. Oh, and here we go. Speak of the devil. The trade of which player from the Boston Red Sox to the New York Yankees led to a supposed curse that stopped the Red Sox from winning a World Series for 86 years. And question again, too long for me to see the answers on the slide. So let me just bring that up. Your options there are Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra, Babe Ruth, or Jackie Robinson. So the trade of which player cursed the Red Sox? New England did make a lot of rum that they would just whack on a boat, and then the boat would just go down from New England down to like Florida and the Bahamas and back up, and that's how they would age it. Back in the early days of America. What is the best-selling video game console of all time? Is it the Nintendo DS, the Xbox 360, the Atari 2600, or the PlayStation 2? Unfortunately, we didn't make the last round all about chicken. That would have been a mad coincidence there. All right, question 3. What animal eats and poops the beans of the famously expensive kopi luwak produced in Indonesia and surrounding countries? So I think this is produced in Indonesia, Malaysia, Timor-Leste, the Philippines, Brunei. But what animal is used in its production? Is it the slow loris, the civet, the tarsier, or the tree shrew? Oh no, not that, Beans. Don't worry, Beans. You're safe for now. And let's have a look at question 4. What is Sonic the Hedgehog's sidekick Tails' I'm really struggling with where to put S's in that sentence. Full name. So you know Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog. What is his full name? Is it Felix Foxworthy, Simon Tailspin, Miles Prower, or Henry Copter? And last one, number 5. So Tails, just a nickname. Approximately what percentage of kangaroo meat sold is produced on farms? Is that 0%, 15%, 30%, or 45%? So, your last 5 questions, your last 5 opportunities to pick up points. And with 1 point in it between first and second place right now, could be anyone's game. So, who's it gonna be? You got the questions there. Nervous and gassy. I'm not nervous and gassy, am I? I'm a bit nervous and phlegmy. At the moment. Anyone ever had Kopi Luwak? I think it's probably yeah, I'm always reacting to the nickname that's like referring to something I said 5 minutes ago, and I've always forgotten what it's about. Obviously, anything that involves animals in its production is prone to animal abuse. So I think I would avoid Kopi Luwak for that reason alone. I have a sneaking suspicion that there's probably a bunch of mammals being force-fed coffee beans in cages in Southeast Asia. All right, so that means everyone's answers are in. Let's reveal the answers. So first up, it was Babe Ruth, the curse of the Bambino, when he was traded from the Red Sox to the Yankees, and then the Red Sox who had early success in the baseball league, then did not win a title for the next 86 years. Then number 2. The PlayStation 2 is the best-selling games console of all time, just edging out the Nintendo DS. Next up, it's the Palm Civet. It's like a kind of cat weasel thing. Then number 4. Miles per hour. You see what they did there? Like miles per hour. Miles per hour. Sonic goes fast. Yeah, it's a good one. Good one. Good one, Sega. All right. And number 5, final question. Yeah, about 0%. It's very difficult to farm kangaroos because they can jump over fences. And yeah, pretty much, I think all kangaroo meat is from wild kangaroos that are shot. I think if you eat kangaroo, it's been shot in the head. They won't accept carcasses from kangaroos that were shot anywhere else as like to prevent like sloppy, like people getting sloppy trying to kill too many too quick and leading to unnecessary suffering of kangaroos. So yeah, if you've ever eaten kangaroo, it was 360 no scoped. It's really tasty. Kangaroo's pretty good. And that means it is our first tiebreak in a while. Pew, pew, pew. Klaxon sound effects. Van Goghs and Chicken and Booze both finishing on 34 points. High scores for both teams. F&B for Presents in second place, 24 points back. So not particularly close there. It really was tight at the top, though. 34 points there. 21 for Backstacks, 16 for Flying Solo. So that means we will be going to the tiebreak for the first time in months, I want to say. It's been a long time. We've the tie breaks have been teasing us. I think this is maybe our first one since we got to our current location, and it that does play into the tiebreaker. So let me just double check with my producer. Yes, I think we can. So the tiebreak is we've been kind of as of the last, so we've been kind of mysterious about our precise location. We're somewhere in the upper Midwest. As of the 2019 census, what was the population of the town that we are currently in? So that's your tie break. So Jessica's going to put a link to the form in the comments. So that should be showing up any second now. And oh boy, tiebreaker. It's defending champs, the Van Goghs, against the previous week's champ, Shane, this week called Chicken and Booze. In his previous victories called Big Bag of Cans. So the link is there from Jessica in the chat. So what do you think the population is or was, or, you know, the latest figure for the population of the town where we currently are, that we have so carefully guarded the identity of? So I'm waiting. Oh, I love a good tie break. So I'm waiting on Jessica to see when these guesses come in, and also I want to see. I want to know. Okay. Yep, I've got the answer in front of me. I've got one guess in, just waiting for the second one. Okay, so I will first read out the guesses that our two tied teams made in the order that they came in. So the Van Goghs had a guess of 32,000 people. Then Chicken and Booze made a guess of 5,000 people. And the population of the town that we are currently in, as of 2019, was 3,174. That makes Chicken and Booze this week's winner. Congratulations. Yeah, we are in a real small town, guys. We really live in that small town life right now. So congratulations to Chicken and Booze. Back in, that's like 3 victories in 4 quizzes. A real run of success there, interrupted only by the Van Goghs last week with their victory. So well done to both of our top of the table teams. Obviously, excellently played from both of you. And congratulations on that tiebreak victory there, Shane, or Chicken and Booze, as I should say. Here comes someone to say well done. Here comes someone to say well done. Oh, here comes someone to say hello. Oh, well done. Well done on winning. All right. So great job, guys. Thanks for playing. And obviously our 2 top teams played out of their minds. Really high scores there. Yes, it means a lot, I'm sure, to Shane to not only win, he got the victory monkey off his back a couple of weeks back, but to win via tiebreaker, which seemed like a curse for Shane for the longest time. So well done there. I'm sure that's a relief. So thanks for everyone who played. You all did a great job, and to our top 2 teams especially. And we'll see you all on Thursday for the speed quiz. We'll see you next Monday for the next installation of our Monday trivia stream. Yeah, we had that. I think we had that tiebreak in the tank since we got here to Wisconsin. So yeah, your version of the Curse of the Bambino for sure. Definitely parallels there. All right. So, yeah, fun times as always. And we'll see you on Thursday for those of you who do come to the Thursday quizzes. If not, see you on Monday. Have a nice week, guys. Ta-ra!